It all began on an ordinary morning inside the crowded terminal of San Diego International Airport. People rushed past each other, dragging suitcases, sipping coffee, scrolling through their phones, no one paying attention to the quiet woman sitting near gate 42. She looked calm, collected, wearing a simple jacket and jeans. Her name was Sarah Morgan. To everyone else, she looked like just another traveler. But beneath that calm face was a past no one could have guessed. Sarah was a retired Navy SEAL commander, one of the very few women ever to reach that rank. She had spent over 15 years leading covert missions across the world, from the mountains of Afghanistan to the darkest corners of the Pacific. But today she wasn't on a mission. She was on her way to visit her brother, a school teacher in Boston. Or so it seemed. As she quietly waited for her flight, 3 uniformed security officers approached her. Their expressions were serious, their tone slightly accusatory. "Ma'am," one said firmly, "we need to check your bag. Random inspection." Sarah raised an eyebrow but didn't argue. "Of course," she replied calmly, pushing her duffel bag toward them. But something in their tone told her this wasn't random at all. People nearby began watching. Phones lifted slightly, recording what looked like a tense moment. One of the officers unzipped her bag slowly. Inside, they found her travel essentials, a few clothes, a water bottle, and a small metal case. The officer's eyes narrowed. "What's this?" he demanded, pointing to the case. "It's medical equipment," she said simply. "I have clearance for it." But the officer didn't believe her. "Looks more like military tech to me," he said, glancing at the others. "Ma'am, stand up, please." By now, the murmurs had spread. People whispered, "What's going on? Did she do something?" A few were even recording. Sarah stood silently, her posture straight, years of discipline showing even in how she breathed. "You can open it," she said. "But be careful." The officer smirked and clicked open the metal case. Inside was a perfectly folded Navy insignia badge, an old challenge coin, and a steel seal trident pin, symbols that only those who'd served in the elite force could possess. For a second, everyone around froze. The officer stared at it, confused. "What is this?" he muttered. Before Sarah could answer, a voice came from behind, deep, commanding, unmistakably military. "That," the man said, stepping forward in full uniform, "belongs to Commander Sarah Morgan, U.S. Navy SEAL Team 6. The officer turned pale. The entire terminal went silent. The man was Captain James Riker, a current SEAL team leader who happened to be traveling on the same flight. He saluted sharply. "Ma'am," he said with respect, "didn't expect to see you here." "It's an honor." The officer stood frozen. The one holding her bag immediately dropped it, his hands trembling. "Commander?" he stammered. We didn't know." Sarah nodded slightly. "Of course you didn't," she said quietly. "Because I don't walk around announcing it." Riker turned toward the officers. "You just searched a decorated Navy SEAL commander's personal gear without verifying her ID or reason. I suggest you start apologizing, now." The officer's face turned red. I'm sorry, ma'am," he stuttered. "We had a report of suspicious activity and—" Sarah raised her hand gently. "Save it," she said. "You did your job. Just remember, next time, treat everyone with respect, not suspicion." The crowd was silent, eyes wide with shock. The woman they'd assumed was an ordinary traveler had just been addressed as commander by one of the Navy's finest. A few people even put their phones down, embarrassed they'd been filming. As Sarah zipped up her bag, Riker leaned closer. "You're still carrying the trident," he said with a small smile. "Can't let it go, huh?" Sarah smirked faintly. "Old habits die hard," she replied. "But I'm done with the field." Riker nodded, but his eyes told a different story, one of admiration and maybe even a little awe. "The Navy could still use people like you," he said. "Maybe," she said softly. "But right now, the world needs people who understand peace more than war." Before he could respond, the intercom crackled. "Now boarding Flight 82 to Boston." Sarah picked up her bag and started walking toward the gate. People stepped aside quietly, as if giving way to a legend they'd just witnessed. But as she handed over her boarding pass, something unexpected happened. Two men in black suits approached her, flashing government IDs. "Commander Morgan," one said, "we're sorry to disturb you, but your expertise is needed again. It's urgent." Riker, standing nearby, caught her eye. "Guess retirement's not as quiet as you thought," he said. Sarah sighed. "It never is," she replied, her tone calm but resolute. She turned back to the agents. "All right," she said. "Let's go." As they walked away, the same officer who had searched her bag earlier watched in silent disbelief. The woman he had accused just minutes ago was now being escorted by federal agents, her title confirmed beyond question. The whispers returned, but this time filled with awe instead of doubt. Once outside the terminal, one of the agents handed her a sealed file. "Mission parameters are inside," he said. "Codename, Phoenix Dawn. You'll be briefed en route." Sarah opened the file slightly. Just enough to glimpse the first line. "Potential threat. High-value target. Pacific sector." She looked up at the sky, took a deep breath, and smiled faintly. "Guess the commander's not done yet." Riker called after her, saluting once more. "Good luck, Commander." She nodded, eyes sharp again, every trace of the ordinary traveler now gone. "Luck's for civilians," she said. "SEALs rely on skill." With that, she stepped into the waiting car, disappearing into the unknown once again, leaving behind a stunned airport and a story that no one would ever forget. And for those who had doubted her, one thing became clear. Sometimes the quietest person in the room carries the loudest legacy, and sometimes the one you underestimate is the one who commands the Navy SEALs.